The comments and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect those of their employers, friends, families, or casual acquaintances.
The following program is brought to you in living color on A2B. Hello and welcome to SwimTalk on A2B Radio. Come join us as we dive into the exciting world of competitive swimming with coach and athlete interviews, conversations with interesting and significant people in our sport, and commentary that is better than good. It's adequate. We'll get underway right after this. Athletes get many kudos in life. The spotlight is on them from an early age. Some excel through high school, some go on to star in college. A few make it to the pros. But there are many facets to being an athlete. A Texas newspaper, the Victoria Advocate, wanted to highlight student athletes, and for the 2018-2019 school year, created an event and program called the Varsity Cup. The city of Victoria is located on the coastal plains of Texas, about 50 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and is a 2-hour drive from Corpus Christi, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, and therefore known as the Crossroads area of Texas. The Varsity Cup was designed to honor the best student athletes in the Crossroads. These kids excel not only at sports, but also must maintain a 3.0 GPA and excel in volunteerism and extracurricular activities. The initial crop of nominees were outstanding student athletes, smart, bright, and eager to serve their communities. They helped rebuild their communities after Hurricane Harvey, fed the homeless, counseled youth groups, mentored elementary students, served Thanksgiving meals, worked at women's crisis centers, and helped the elderly. They were active in their churches and did many other non-athletic school activities such as National Honor Society and 4-H. Their list of accomplishments was mind-boggling. For the first Varsity Cup, about 600 students and parents attended the awards event. The principal sponsor of the Varsity Cup is American Shield Roofing and Construction, and on this episode of SwimTalk A2B, we interview John Lamson, Vice President of Sales for American Home Shield.
We're talking to John Lamson today. John's Vice President of Sales for American Shield Roofing and Construction. John, we'd like to pick your brain as an athlete, coach, parent, fan, and of course, a big supporter of the sports in general. How about starting us off by giving us a little info on your background in athletics?
Sure, not a problem. Well, I graduated from Texas A&M in 2001, got into education right away and started coaching. Started my career up in the Dallas area and spent 3 years up there. Then my first niece decided that she was going to make an appearance into the world. So that brought me back down to the Houston area. Bounced around Houston a little bit, wound up with some smaller schools, and eventually wound up in my current home right now in Hallettsville. I was a defensive coordinator in Hallettsville for 8 years and got to the point where other priorities in life had to take over. So I got out of education and coaching and got into the roofing industry.
Okay. Now the thing that brought us together was the Victoria Advocate newspaper. They host an annual event called the Varsity Cup, and that honors high school athletes and coaches from the area. And Bay City's lucky to be in there. I think we're on the edge of that area. American Shield's a major sponsor. How'd that come about? How did y'all get involved in that?
It's kind of a funny story, really. We were approached by a friend of mine whose husband was a former coach as well, and come to find out that he's part of the marketing team down there at the Victoria Advocate. And my friend knew that I had a background in coaching as well. And so she just kind of put two and two together, knowing that I was in the roofing industry and knowing that we were looking for some sort of a marketing group to manage our image, if you will. And she put us together. I just happened to have about a 2-hour window of my day one day, and we got together. And next thing you know, a lady by the name of Crystal Lindsay showed up, and lo and behold, she was actually on the digital side. Kevin Ahlstrom was the guy that was the husband of my friend, and we, like I said, we sat down, just started bouncing ideas off each other. Next thing you know, we're on the phone called my business partner, trying to figure out a way to make it all work. As time went on, they were looking for opportunities for us to see where we can get our name out there and find out ways to really market us in the Victoria area. And Kevin came up to me and he said, "Man, we've got an idea that I think may be right up your alley." He said, "We've got this thing every year that's been coming down the pipeline. It's called the Varsity Cup. Basically, as you described it, it honors high school athletes who are not only excelling on the athletic courts and fields, but they're also excelling in the classroom as well." So he said, given the fact that you're a former coach and a guy who's, in a position where we can probably help you guys, put yourself in a good light in the community, he says it seems like it's a perfect match. And we tossed the idea around for about 3 or 4 days, and my business partner and I decided, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to open ourselves up to a new market and really make ourselves kind of one of those go-to guys in Victoria and surrounding areas. And next thing you know, they asked us if we want to sponsor the Varsity Cup. We made it happen, and now we're 2 years into it, and looking forward to next year.
It is so cool. So it's got to have helped your name recognition in Victoria. So it's been pretty positive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We've had a huge response. A lot of our calls that we're getting in right now, we're asking people, how did you find us? Was it on the digital side? Was it marketing? Was it print side? And we've had probably, since the event, we probably had somewhere in the range of 8 to 10 calls, which is huge for somebody like us trying to break into that market. So,
yeah.
And out of those 8 to 10 calls, we still have some that we're still trying to close on, but it's been a very positive response for us as a company.
That is so cool. Beyond the quality athletes, the nominees got to be outstanding students, and they need to be involved in community service as well. I'll bet you could think, you're a coach, you're an athlete, and a parent. I bet you can think of plenty of times when teammates or athletes that you've coached went way above and beyond for other people. Right?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And to me, that's really the essence of what we're trying to do. We're looking for high quality kids and kids who understand that education and athletics really go hand in hand, but at the same time, they service these kids not only for themselves right now, but also for their futures. A lot of times when kids are applying for colleges and or whenever kids are looking to go play sports someplace at the next level, a lot of stuff that they look for, and I say they as in universities and colleges, they're looking for extracurricular activities. They're looking for kids who are multi-talented. They're looking for kids who are willing to give up comfort and, seek adversity and find ways to make themselves better by helping other people. And really that's the essence of what the Varsity Cup's all about. And as we went through the resumes that kids were turning in, the group that we picked this year was pretty special. I mean, you were there, Coach,
oh,
and
yeah.
you saw the quality of the kids we're talking about. And I'm sure that's just a small fraction of those kids that really kind of deserve it. But, when at an event like that, it's really where the cream rises,
Oh yeah. They were top-notch group, and to even be nominated, the kids that didn't earn awards are top-notch kids.
Correct.
So, okay, I'll shift gears just a little back to the company thing. Companies wanting to support something like this Varsity Cup in their communities, they might need a little nudge to get them to pull the trigger. What would you say to a business out there who might want to get involved in something like this for their local athletes, but they're not sure if it's right for them? What could you tell them?
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, like I said, this thing kind of fell in our lap as a very unique opportunity. But for somebody else, for another company in a different area who's looking to do something similar to what we're doing, reach out. I mean, connect with somebody. It may be something where you just have to make a cold call to a local newspaper or a radio station or some sort of media company that broadcasts however wide, and just
Right.
see what they can do for you. I mean, when I say the majority of the work, the footwork and the groundwork that went into this event was done by the people at the Victoria Advocate. I mean that 100%. I mean, we've had we had a very small percentage of work that we actually had to do. But, when it comes down to it, if anybody's looking to do something like this, it's something that's, it could be beneficial not only for the company, but more so for the kids in the community, and really reaching out to those media platforms and saying, hey, this is what we're looking about doing. We'd like to model it after this Victoria Advocate Varsity Cup thing, or something similar to that, and just see what they say.
Right.
To me, that's going to be the first step, and then from there, it's going to take a little time. It's going to take a little bit of legwork to get it done. But at the end of the day, if they can make it happen, I mean, just think about the benefits that it's going to provide for these kids.
Oh yeah, and I'm thinking back now on all the varsity cups we've had. With the pandemic, we had to do a couple of them virtually, but we've had some great motivational speakers at each of those banquets, presentations. Former Brenham High School and Texas A&M pitcher John Peters, that guy was something else in high school. And he was the first one that led it off in 19. And everyone's focused on these speakers when they're sharing their stories. And aren't they kind of putting an exclamation point on the things that you as a parent and coach are trying to instill in these kids? And then these speakers are kind of giving it that one last little oomph for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the caliber of kids that we look for in the presentation, I mean, they're already top-notch kids, but it's also, the what they can take back and what they can, the essence of the whole presentation, if they can take it back and share it with other kids in their schools or in their classrooms or, even in their communities. And just say, I mean, how many kids get to say that, hey, I met John Peters, Right. I mean, a handful of people may know him at this point, but still, I mean, you're talking about a living legend in Texas high school baseball,
Right.
So, but people like that, and our keynote speaker this year, Alex Dimchak, I mean, what can we not?
That's a great story. Yes.
That guy's phenomenal. I mean, that's just unreal, his story. So, yeah, it's you listen to that guy talk, and he and I have actually been communicating back and forth on phone here over the last, since the event, and we've kind of built a pretty good relationship. So just listen to that guy talk and about what he's gone through and his story and how he overcame adversity. It's just unreal.
He went from what, basically a towel boy. I mean, he was pretty, talk about down and out, not
Correct.
being able to live your dream, and then what do you get to?
Yeah. Phenomenal guy too, but that's what it's all about. It's for us, it's about showing kids that, when adversity faces you square in the face, being able to overcome that adversity and still make great things happen. That's what it's all about. That's really what we're looking for these kids. And I think it's something that could carry on to other communities. I really do.
Right. Well, I don't want to leave Dane out if he's got something for you. I kind of monopolize this. It's kind of how it goes. I guess I'm the
very unlike you.
But yeah, right. This is the standard for us, John.
It's all good.
I do have a couple questions. I did a little research on the Victoria Advocate. It is Texas's second oldest newspaper, founded in 1846. Their readership is between 75 and 100,000 people. Is this a program that can work in a smaller community? Do you need somebody as big as Victoria with 100,000? Do you need something as big as the Houston Chronicle with, I don't know how many readers they have, 27 or 28 these days? What kind of areas can this work in? Can it work in a small community? Are there other programs like this going on that you can share with us?
Well, none that I know of. This is kind of a unique situation that you don't see, everywhere. I mean, obviously your metropolitan areas that they can service, several, 100 high schools in a listening or in a print area or whatever. But if it was to go out, reach out to smaller communities, it would have to be a series of communities that kind of builds a collaboration in my mind. With Victoria, the way the Advocate approached this thing, it's gone as far south as Port Lavaca, as far south. I mean, right
Calhoun, right?
Yeah, exactly. There was a Calhoun there. They went far east as Bay City. They came as far north as Hallettsville. So they really encompassed a large area, which included several different schools. I've actually had other coaches that I've worked with and coached against, ask me, well, hey, what do we got to do to get my kids involved with this thing? So it's one of those things where you just have to get it started and make it something that you say, okay, we're going to do this on this date, and we've got X amount of time to prepare for it. But so let's get a geographic area that we want to set out to really focus on the schools, and then it's always it's easier to have a central location that has a good marketing platform there. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to just be in a bigger area per se, but I mean, it could happen. It's just a matter of finding which newspaper or radio station will be willing to support it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it involved the nominees, and even some winners were from not just public schools. We had some private school kids
Correct.
in there too that were just outstanding nominees and winners.
Correct.
Yeah, I see 21 different schools taking part in the Varsity Cup right now from the Advocates website. And like Bob said, it's a mix of private and public schools. I think there's 4 or 5 private schools mixed in that group. And there's great kids at every school in this country. It's a shame that only the big schools with the really successful athletic programs get noticed or recognized. And the kids that are in the smaller schools or even in the private schools that do a great job in their athletics, their academics, community service, sort of get overshadowed by those bigger schools. Have you found that to be not the case in the Varsity Cup?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter the size of the school. It's all about the caliber of the kid. Okay. And that's the way it should be in my eyes. I mean, this is something that, we want to include everybody in. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be seen and recognized. And, the way it's done is they reach out to the coaching staff and ask for their nomination. And then from there, they ask the kids to submit a resume of things that they've done. So it kind of, it equalizes the playing field in a lot of ways, because it's not so much about the size of the school, but it comes down to the caliber of the kid and what they're doing and what they're a part of and how they're excelling personally. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the characteristics that it's underlining here. Obviously, athletic excellence is one of the things they're looking at, but then they've got these other interesting categories: heart and desire, going the extra mile, sportsmanship, academics. Those are things that usually get overlooked in favor of just pure athletic performance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we all love a winner. Okay. We all love kids who are, phenomenal athletes. We love kids who are, geniuses in their own right, but whenever you find that person who in today's society, it's a rarity, it seems like, but the kids who are out there who have the athletic ability and they have the ability to put forth the effort to excel in the classroom. I mean, it almost brings a tear to your eye to think about kids like that. And it's like these kids get it. They understand it. They don't give into the social norms of blasting people on social media, or they don't give in the social norms about drugs or alcohol. These are kids who are willing to make a commitment, be above and beyond. They're just normal, everyday high school kid stuff, and focus on becoming a better person academically and becoming a better athlete overall. And that's really what we're looking for, and I think the more that we can get this thing going, the more we can encourage kids to realize that there's other programs out there like the Varsity Cup that we can, in some way, shape, or form, make our society a better place.
Yeah, these are the kids that when you as a coach say, "Hey, I need a hand with this," whether it's at gym or at the field, they're the first ones to show up. If you say, "Hey, so-and-so in the community needs something done," either through your church or just through your team, they're the ones that are going to show up and help paint this house for somebody that's on a fixed income. Whatever it is, they're the first kids that show up for these things. And I think it's great that we're recognizing them.
I want to share with the people listening, all 24 people that are listening to this podcast, what they're looking for in these nominations. So I'm just going to read it off their website. These nominations are based not only on their athletic performance, as we've mentioned, but also their GPA and their volunteerism and community involvement. Each Varsity Cup student has been nominated by their coach and has maintained at least a 3.0 GPA for the current year and at least 10 hours of volunteerism this year. And I'm sure there's kids with much higher GPAs and a lot more than 10 hours of volunteerism. Can you share some of the areas that you are aware of where the kids have been doing their volunteer stuff?
A lot of the stuff that we saw was church-based type things. Churches are very easy for kids to get to gain their community service type stuff. Kids working at animal shelters, that's a big thing right now because what kid doesn't love a dog? What kid doesn't love a cat? So and then just other nonprofits around the area, just areas, people like that looking for nonprofit volunteers. You can go online, I would imagine, and look for volunteer opportunities in order to get your community service hours.
And these don't have to be school-sponsored volunteer activities. It could be through their church or, like Correct. You said, animal shelters, or maybe teaching kids how to swim at a pool like the famous Valiant pool over in Bay City.
Okay. Yeah. I tell you what, we're kind of getting toward the end here, John. I kind of want to turn it over to you if there was anything that we didn't mention. And when we close it out, I'd let you say, what advice do you have for high school student athletes and maybe also for us parents and coaches?
No, when I'm sitting here thinking about this stuff as we're talking about it, a lot of this stuff, kids need the opportunity to be presented to them. Okay. A lot of kids aren't going to go out and look for things. Your top-notch kids, the ones that you talked about, hey, I need you to come do this for me and help me move something. And they're the first ones to show up. That's wonderful. And that's what it's all about. But sometimes these kids don't feel like there's enough opportunity for things for them to help out some places. If it's helping somebody mow their grass, or if it's helping somebody pick up limbs, or if it's helping somebody, anywhere in the community, at a church or whatever, I think more opportunities need to be presented to these kids. And if we can somehow, foster some sort of a program that where kids can, hey, I've got to get these community service hours. I know this Varsity Cup thing or whatever cup thing that anybody else is going to start up. If there's opportunities presented to these kids through the schools, then I think that would really help these guys out. My advice to kids and parents, kids are different these days. Okay. There's this I've got a 14-year-old daughter. Okay. And she's just different. She's raised in a different society. We were raised in a neighborhood, and, we rode bikes and played stickball till, it was dark outside, the streetlights came on, and my mom would come out on the front porch and whistle, and we'd turn our heads and drop the bat and away we go. Kids are just different these days with social media platforms and with the internet. Kids are attached to phones, and my advice to parents is get your kids away from that stuff. Limit that time. Okay. There's an outside, right outside your door for these kids to go find something to do. Whether they, it's going out and, jumping on a trampoline. Okay. Or, going down and hanging out with your friends in their house. And even if they're playing video games or something like that, at least they're interacting with other people. Kids these days are losing a lot of their social skills because of, and this is just my personal opinion, because of what goes on the internet. That's their new world. Okay, that's their new hangout. John. Yeah. And kids have the opportunity to reach out to other kids who are not only in the same state, but in other states and other countries, and communicate with them. And it's kind of a blessing and the curse. But you look at it because, hey, at least they're having some sort of interaction with somebody from another culture. Okay. But at the same time, we all know those predators are out there looking for this kind of stuff, and they're a whole lot smarter than I am about trying to control that stuff, Right. But my advice to parents right now is keep your kids active. Find a YMCA, find an AAU team, find something for your kids to do. If it's a summer track program, or I know a lot of schools are doing the summer workout programs. Okay, things like that. Getting them up in the morning and getting them moving around and lifting weights or running, or even just going out and mowing the grass. Okay, get your kids up. Okay, take away the phones. Put them outside and let them sweat a little bit.
Yeah, don't spend the summer getting up at the crack of noon. Yeah, I'm with you. That's great advice.
Whenever lunch is your breakfast, that's not a good thing. So. This is one of those word of mouth deals. It's one of those things, I get it. I see athletic directors and what their schedules look like. But it's one of those things where, I'm almost tempted to go and hand deliver stuff to head coaches or athletic directors and say,
yeah, because they got really kids that are worthy.
Sure, absolutely. The thing is that, it's just a matter of making it something that's important to them, making sure they relay the message to their kids and their coaches to make sure that they understand this is something that is important. It's something that could be a resume builder for them at the next level in college, or even for like a professional job or something. Right. There's no telling what it could be good for. It's a matter of word of mouth. My plan for next year for 23 is to do a better job of using my network of people, and I'm talking about coaches in the area, and really, maybe even we could expand this thing a whole lot more, because I had Rice Consolidated coaches reaching out to me. I had Columbus coaches reaching out to me. I had LaGrange coaches reaching out to me, but it's one of those things where the Victoria Advocate doesn't go that far. So same time, who's to say we can't use LaGrange as a hub to do something like this
and
again,
find a media host up there, right? If they have a like you said, a radio station or a newspaper that wants to do that, they could do that.
Mm-hmm. Which I know they do. They've got both.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking that Brenham might be a great hub for something like that.
I think you hit a good one. I think they're sports crazy up there, and I think it'd be great.
Yep. Brenham or even College Station, So.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, in the smaller communities, you've got such tremendous support and participation in the high school activities. It's not like they have the concerts or the pro sports events and so on. So they really gravitate more towards, where their kids are participating. And, maybe that is a great idea. Brenham, College Station, Bryan.
That's cool.
John, I just want to thank you a lot and hope we can figure out something to do to help expand this, because wouldn't this be cool to just have it start spreading?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's what makes this thing special for us. There's not a day that goes by that I don't miss coaching. There's not a day that goes by. This is a way for me to be able to connect with kids still, maybe not so much directly, and have a direct influence in their lives. It's just a way for me as a coach and us as a company to help these kids and help them recognize them for what they're doing.
Man, we appreciate you. It's so cool.
Well, we've been talking with John Lamson, the Vice President of Sales for American Shield Roofing and Construction. The Victoria Advocate newspaper hosts an annual event called the Varsity Cup that honors high school athletes and coaches from their area, and American Shield is a major sponsor.
Thanks again, John. Take care.
We'll see you now on the next episode of SwimTalk A2B. Thanks for joining us on this episode of SwimTalk A2B. Share us with your friends, relatives, and people you want to annoy or put to sleep. We continue in our quest to bring you the best and better than average discussion of things that may or may not whet your appetite, or at least help you combat insomnia. Drop us a line at swimtalk@outlook.com if you'd like to be a guest, or suggest a guest or topic. We'll reply as soon as we get the dogs back in the house and quieted down. Be safe out there, and catch us again for the next dazzling episode of SwimTalk A2B.